Hello, Rosemary. Hey, lover. My name is Tereza Silon. I am a performance researcher, mostly. I work in a very interdisciplinary way, but I came to Can Serrat to write. And to write a text. I say substantial text because to write a book scares me, but I like the challenge. And it's a text that works on different tangents and with different topics and tools of how to approach information. Like I work from very embodied place because of performance, research and performance, but also because I'm a body worker, energy worker, and this is also part of my practice. I work a lot with plants. And the topic is, very broadly speaking, ecological pilgrimage. What does it mean to be like a queer subjectivity in ecology and landscape, and how it combines with the Black Virgin cult that's in the monastery of Montserrat, and with the different layers of history, personal histories, but also collective histories and geological and ecological histories that are collected and sedimented here as the rocks are sedimented. I think for me also the way text emerges is not like when I sit and think. I actually cannot think while I sit. So I have to move, I have to walk. The first week, already shortly after arrival, 5 a.m., I went up to the mountain with the group, and I planned to spend time in the mountain. I planned to spend time in the caves and with the rocks and in the ecology. I think it's also really nice to be humbled by things that are much bigger than us. And these mountains, literally are so much bigger than us. It dawned on me also that the need to be surrounded by something that's older, that's bigger, that is not as impermanent in a way, and that also gives some humility. I think it gives you humility and support as an artist, because whatever you do, it will never cover the magnanimous size of the mountains and of the topics that you work with and of the ecologies to which there are so many aspects, and each of the little things within the ecology, each of the little rock in the mountain is spectral and just vast and really like a whole rainbow. So there are images of angels with rainbow pastel wings later in the Basilica of Montserrat. Their bodies so tame and human-like, somewhat homoerotic and genderless, no longer apparitions, although likeness to humans plays an uncanny trick on us. The gay angels of paradise, the birds of the same feather. There are also Catholic saints depicted in a Romanesque fashion, along with illustrations of biblical stories, swallows and roses and golden bees, and grey-green faces of martyrs in pain and or ecstasy. I think I was a very alive child, and I think I still am a very alive child. But I think I gained a lot of scholarly knowledge, and I was put through a system that made me a very brainy person in some ways. And it's beautiful. And I think because also my body and my nervous systems are quite trained, I can hold a lot of different knowledge and combine it and play with that. That too is a play in and of itself. Just being in nature, climbing rocks, having this physical strain for me is a place which returns me to joy. And I work with different tools that remind me of the child play, but with maybe more adult, sophisticated, and maybe sometimes even not framing. So for example, I work with ropes and rope suspension, and this comes also from my interest in circus and study of circus. And so these are ways of how I also decalcify a bit my body and my mind, because I think working within one discipline and coming at things with just one lens from one discourse can be very constraining. And I think there's also play with text and with words, challenging what text is and what shapes it can have, and how it can be cut and pasted, how the same sentence repeated over 3 times, followed by other different paragraphs, can bring us to 3 different places, not just like geographically, but also in our mind and also in time. I work with plants long time, like since childhood. I grew up in the countryside, and so for me, like it was quite normal to like eat things from the ground. And I think like I also later added foundation in clinical naturopathy, so I learned something about clinical herbalism. But for me, the most direct gateway is to meet the plants, like sensorially, the stories people tell about them. And when I came, the first plant I made friends with was pokeweed, or like Phytolacca, which is not a native plant here, but it's been here for a really long time. And like there's 2 pathways it could get here. There's like different genuses, like one is from the North Americas, the other one is from the Asia. And it's a plant that like is toxic, but it's used in folkloric herbalisms for actually many ailments. I was also collecting and parts ingesting like rosemary. Also in the name, like rosemary just somehow had to be in the work because of the Mary, because of the sea dew, and because of these different folkloric stories. I think like for me, it's also like understanding the land comes through like having connection with the plants and having the plants like bind to my own body through ingesting them. It's also a very humble practice because it keeps your eyes open and makes you aware what grows around. For me, there's also this beauty in some plants have many names, like the Latin name, the English name, the Czech name, the folkloric names. And like this multiplicity of knowledges for me is like a very queer way of thinking about the world. And I think then thinking about the energies and the potencies and healing properties and poisons of plants make me think about people or phenomena or like even like iconographies in a similar way. So then I see what they can represent for us and on which aspects of us they can work. I also think about how in some way each plant is so queer because you have different parts of you, and you know, the flowers are like light blue and you have this very resiny smell. So there's like different planetary correspondences and different genders you have within this one vegetal body. And I find it also very, very inspiring for myself and for a way of conducting relationships. Like I can relate to one plant through many different stories and many different genders. The experience here has been very varied. Like it's been so many things. I've been here for 4 months. I think because this is such a generous part of time, when I came here, I was really focused on the completion of the project. But I think receiving the generosity of time also made me consider that I want to give it more time, because I don't want it to be kind of my homework during the residency here, but I really want it to be something I stand by, and then also something that, like, you know, I would sign still a couple of years ahead, maybe. I think I better understood my own process because there wasn't like an intense push, and so I could see what works for me, what not, and like manage my own energies. And I think like the learning about my artistic process, about managing myself, is really vital for me. And whenever I have like a residency, I understand a bit more about this, and this really nurtures my artistic practice. This is a place that like really touched me and touched my heart, but also understanding that like there's also like a very special thing about this time capsule that you have. When I'm not here, I will miss you and all your friends here in the fields.